Let's talk about something no one wants to face, but everyone needs to know: the signs that he's falling out of love. Relationships are full of ups and downs and, these peaks and valleys. But when someone starts to emotionally drift away and retreat, it's really painful and confusing. And you might notice subtle changes or big shifts, and you're left wondering what's really going on here. So today I want to break down 9 clear signs he's falling out of love so you can better understand what might be happening here in this dynamic so you're not confused, and then decide what do you need to do next. So let's get into this. The first one: he stops making effort in this relationship. Love isn't just all about feelings, it's very much about actions. A partner who's in love will put in the effort to nurture the relationship, right? Whether that's making plans, whether that means planning dates, having meaningful conversations, obviously, or showing appreciation in all kinds of different ways. But when he's falling out of love, that effort kind of disappears. Maybe used to surprise you with thoughtful gestures, or take some time to check in with you throughout the day, or just checking in with you emotionally whenever, really. But now it feels like you doing all the work to keep the relationship going, to keep the relationship alive. If he stops showing up for the relationship, that's a really strong indicator that the feelings have shifted. The second point: he's less interested in physical affection. Now, generally speaking, men and most women too are very much into physical affection, right? Physical intimacy is often one of the first areas where emotional distance shows up. Maybe he's no longer initiating hugs, kisses, or cuddles like he used to, Or when you try to connect physically, it feels like forced or almost like a little bit awkward, and you feel like it's not really reciprocated. Physical touch is a way of expressing love and connection. And when that fades, it's often a sign of deep emotional disconnection. So if the affection that once felt so natural and beautiful has started to fade, it's something worth paying attention to. The third one I would say is, yes, of course, he becomes emotionally distant, Emotionally distancing himself is one of the clear signs that some feelings have changed, He used to share his thoughts and feelings with you. He used to be very open and vulnerable with you, whether it was his dreams, his fears, or just like how his day went. Now he's kind of closed off. He doesn't engage in deep conversations anymore. He's not really interested in hearing about your emotions and your day and everything else that's going on inside of you. That emotional disengagement can really leave you feeling absolutely lonely, even though you're together. And if he's no longer connecting with you on that emotional level and intimacy, it's a clear sign that love may be fading. Hi, did you know there's an ancient formula that can show you exactly what you need to do in order to experience the life and the love of your dreams? I'm going to share a little secret with you, because I teach this formula to all of my private clients, and the results that they have achieved just from these insights alone is absolutely incredible. And I call it the love alignment equation. And for a very short time, I'm inviting you to participate in a free 15-minute love alignment call with me or a member of my heart to heart team. All you have to do is click the link in the description, and if there's a booking link with available times, then you still have a chance to reserve your spot. So act fast before I decide to close this offer again. The fourth point: he prioritizes other things over you. When someone's falling out of love, their focus starts to shift away from the relationship, away from you, towards other things. Maybe he's spending more time at work. Maybe he is hanging out with his friends. Or he's diving deep into hobbies without including you. It's not just about, being busy. It's about where he's choosing to invest his energy in. If you find that you're no longer a priority in his life, or other commitments consistently come first, it's a sign he's emotionally focused somewhere else, and his emotional attention and availability for you is no longer a priority in his life, and therefore for the relationship. The first point: he avoids serious conversations. I mean, I talk about this so much. Someone's feelings are fading, they often avoid discussions about the future or the state of the relationship. Have you tried to talk about where things are going, only for him to brush it off or, change the subject very quickly? Maybe he avoids commitments to plan or refuse to engage in any meaningful discussion about your future together. This avoidance is just so frustrating. It's such a big red flag that he may no longer be invested in building a life with you. And we need to be willing to look at this piece rather than trying to avoid it. The sixth point, he's no longer complimenting you. You know, compliments are one of the simplest ways to show admiration and affection. Maybe you used to notice the little things about you, like how you style your hair or these small little accomplishments at work, but now those compliments have almost like completely disappeared. He no longer acknowledges your efforts or appreciation, or he no longer appreciates what makes you so unique and special. A lack of compliments might seem small, but it can signal a loss of interest or attraction, which often comes from falling out of love. The seventh point, he's less engaged with your life. When someone's in love, they're naturally curious about your life, your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, your plans, the things that are happening in your world. But if he's falling out of love, that engagement kind of starts to fade away too. Maybe he no longer asks how your day went, forgets important details, or seems uninterested in your activities at all. It's like he's pulling back from being part of your world. He's pulling back from being part of your life outside of the relationship. If he's no longer showing interest in your life, that's also a very clear sign that there's emotional connection that's weakening at the moment. The eighth point, he becomes irritable and very critical. As love fades, patience and understanding can be replaced by irritation and criticism. Does he seem to pick fights over small things or focus on your flaws instead of all the beauty and appreciation of your strength? Maybe he's more impatient, snappy at you over minor issues, or finding reasons to argue. This shift in tone can be incredibly hurtful and often reflects his growth, his growing emotional disconnection. When love is present, there's way more grace and kindness. If those things are gone, it's worth examining why. And the ninth point, he stops making future plans with you. Finally, let's talk about the future. Such a big one. A partner who's in love wants to include you in their plans, whether it's a vacation next month, a long-term goal over the next few years, down the road. If he stops talking about future plans or seems uninterested in discussing upcoming events, it's a strong sign he's emotionally checked out. Maybe he's avoiding commitment or simply just doesn't see you in his long-term vision anymore. When the future stops being a shared conversation, that's a major indicator that something has shifted in the relationship, or at least also something has shifted inside of him. So these 9 signs really show you that he's falling out of love. If you're noticing the patterns, it's important to take a step back and reflect on what's happening in this relationship here right now. Because remember, love isn't just about the good times. It's about showing up also in the bad times, staying connected and working through potential challenges that are just part of life, right? If he's no longer putting in the effort, it might be time to have an honest conversation, if you can, or even have an honest conversation with yourself to look at everything very truthfully. And then consider moving forward, maybe even without him. Have you expressed any of these things before to your man? If you're facing these issues, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear the challenges that you're facing with bringing up these conversations, or actually voicing it in the first place, or then receiving whatever he has to say. Because one thing is for sure, if we ask one of these questions, maybe like very polarizing, strong questions, I personally would only ask them if you're willing to receive the truth. If it's already phrased in a way that he feels like he cannot be honest with you, then that's just going to create more distance, right? So are you willing to face the truth with him, with yourself, within this dynamic? And then when you ask that question, are you willing to receive the truth, which might be very uncomfortable, which might not be what you want to hear? Because often, unfortunately, we ask these questions in ways in order to get a very specific answer that we would like to hear. And that's not necessarily the bad thing, because what we need to hear and what we would like to hear are often two very, very different things.